everyone. I'm Doris Matsui with another episode of Dishing with Doris, which really in Sacramento we have really interesting people who do interesting things. And I am so honored today to have one of my really good friends here, Rivkah Sass, who is the director of the Sacramento Public Library. And libraries today do so many things. And let me just start off with you, Rivkah. How have libraries changed from when you were a little girl?
They're almost unrecognizable, and yet they're really the same.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, libraries are still about promoting literacy and providing reading material for people, whether it's books or downloadable audiobooks or other resources. And books were what I had as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And the space that we're in right now would never have existed in our wildest imagination.
Mm-hmm.
But libraries have really moved from being just that place where you go to check out a book to being that place you go to perhaps change your life.
Good. Has it become also somewhat of a community center too?
It's exactly what we are. We talk about libraries as community anchors.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that especially whenever any hint of funding problems arise and we talk about what if we have to close a library. The community understands that. The folks who have libraries in their neighborhoods really understand that role as community center, community anchor. And we've embraced that more and more over the last couple of decades, especially with after school programs
Mm-hmm.
for teens, volunteer homework help in many of our libraries, things for people to do, gathering places for children and adults.
So, to a certain degree, you've taken over a lot of the kind of responsibilities that, particularly with children, that a parent used to have.
Well, with so many working parents,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact, I could talk about this all day, so I warn you now. The fact that children really have to have a good foundation to start school ready to learn and
Right.
ready to read. We have focused a lot of our resources, a lot of our energy, and a lot of our mission around making sure that we provide that opportunity. So, as an example, we do 200 story times a month.
200?
200 a month. We have 28 locations. We have multiple story times in many locations so that we can really address that. And we're increasingly seeing the need to do them on Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
But, you think about it, there's no universal preschool. So
True.
where does a child ages 0 to 3 get those opportunities, the skill building that needs to happen, along with the parents? We really promote the idea that a parent is their child's first teacher.
Right.
So we want to make sure they have the resources they need and they know we're here to help. And we have, about 40 plus subject matter experts, trained librarians who specialize in serving children. And we do that throughout our system.
How many libraries do you have in your system anyway?
How many librarians? Probably about 50. And so I may be exaggerating a little. No, we have more than that. We have a staff of about 300, and we actually don't have as many librarians as many systems, and most of our librarians are trained to serve youth.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But there's also kind of what I see too is that you start from the little kids, but you go on through sort of their life phases too.
oh, absolutely.
With their parents and maybe job applications when you got computers, and then you got the seniors also there too.
Well, that's exactly right. And when you think about it these days, and I just had this conversation at a community meeting convened by the city, I'm advocating for digital literacy.
Mm-hmm.
We're in one of our makerspaces where it's really critical that you learn the skills that you need to function in the 21st century. How often can you apply for a job on paper these days?
Right.
Maybe less than 5% of the time. So we're that spot to help people either have access or learn the skills they need so that they can apply for that job online, and maybe learn some of the applications that are pretty critical to daily life these days.
That's right. And I was also thinking that, you have your librarians and you have your other staff. Do you also have volunteers here?
Oh, we use, I think it's 27,000 hours a year of volunteer
Oh.
time. I may be a little bit low, but it's the equivalent. It's more than 20 full-time staff, and we could not function without them.
Mm-hmm.
And they do everything from helping adults who don't know how to read learn to read. We just had a man in his 80s read his first book.
Oh, how exciting.
And we were very excited. Well, that's a volunteer who helps
Oh.
with that. We have after-school homework helpers. The Friends of we could not do so many of the things that we do without the Friends of the Library, who raise more than $300,000 a year for all of our libraries and support them at the neighborhood level.
Sure.
So they're selling books, they're holding events, and they're volunteering. They're doing whatever the library staff need them to do at their local level. To me, it's the perfect example of community engagement.
Right.
Of people who really care about their community giving back.
That's
So
wonderful.
volunteers are hugely important to
Oh,
us.
I really
And
truly
we
think
have a
that,
lot
yeah.
of teen volunteers.
Oh, really? That's
Yes.
wonderful.
And we're really, really, again, it's those librarians who we sometimes call the teen whisperers. They get them engaged with the library, and they, they end up planning events. They're learning really critical life skills. They're learning project management. We have an event in December called the Harry Potter Yule Ball.
Oh.
It's attended by 500 teens. All of it's planned by teens. We just provide the support and help with resources, but they actually plan the events. And, you think about that. Project management is one of those skills that is in high demand.
It is, absolutely.
So we're really thrilled that we're able to do that. We're able to create a positive connection and to build that sort of loyalty to learning and to what the library can represent. And they walk away with something absolutely terrific.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And in fact, one more thing, sorry.
No, go on.
We have a program coming up on bullying.
Oh.
And because we also offer a series called Let's Talk About, where we talk about issues that aren't always comfortable. We've done bullying, we've done fake news. We know
Good.
that's really important
Right.
to talk about these days. We've done gender. But the bullying program, one of the speakers is a teen who came to us as a volunteer when she was about 13. She's now about 19. She's in college, and she was bullied, and she really felt she didn't belong anywhere. And she discovered the library, and she's, one of our favorite people in the world, and is growing into this amazing young woman who someday I hope will be a fantastic librarian.
To a certain degree, the library was her salvation.
Absolutely.
It's just, to me, because it's the library to me sort of represents not only a safe place, but a neutral place.
Exactly.
So that you can come into the library and no one's judgmental. You can choose what you want to do. You can go out to where you want to see things, whether it's a book or whether it's a computer or whatever. And there aren't too many places like that.
We're sort of one of the last, I think, those welcoming open spaces for anyone. And, sometimes we get a little flack for that because, people say, well, you're really just a homeless shelter. Well, you have to dig a little deeper than that to see what we are. And in fact, we have, we know that people need help. They need information. We all need information to function, to do, to be what we can be in life.
Sure.
And sometimes that information is an outreach worker who says, I've got a bed for you tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a veteran. You're eligible for benefits. Let me help you get to the right people to get you those veterans benefits.
Well, I like this because you are sort of a center of information, because all kinds of people are here and come around, and you have your staff here, your librarians and everyone else, who can direct them, because
Mhm.
it's that, what do I do next, where can I find this, whatever, you know, and I think a library is a perfect place, because I remember when I was growing up, going to the desk and asking them questions about where I can find a certain book.
Right.
It's that same concept of asking and not being afraid to ask. 'Cause so many people think, I can't ask that at all.
Mhm.
But in a library, it's basically there for you for information, and you ask.
And that's exactly what we want from people.
That's
We want
great.
them, you know, yesterday I was on a panel discussion because it's International
Mhm.
Women's Month, and one of the themes that kept coming out was being afraid to ask, being afraid, and you set yourself back.
Sure.
And if I could send any message to anybody, you know, people don't even know that libraries are free. And that's one of the greatest frustrations of my life. But I would say, ask more questions.
Sure, absolutely.
Because how do you get what you need to know where you want to go if you're afraid to ask the questions? And if we could help people overcome that, boy, the world would be a
Oh, definitely would be a better
much better place.
Right. Now, we're in the makerspace here. Can you tell us what's going on here?
Well, to me, this is a great example of how libraries are evolving, because, you know, there are so many things that I hear about and say, what is that? What does it mean? When I first heard about a 3D printer, I couldn't even, I just really didn't understand, because for me, a printer is something that spits out a piece of paper,
Right.
right? And we got a grant to create a makerspace out at our arcade library. And then I saw it for the first time, and then I realized the practical applications. So you can actually prototype something that you want to build, and you know, it's something architects use now.
Sure.
They don't build their little models of what they're
Right.
designing. They use computer-aided design software, and they print it out on a 3D printer. So this is one where instead of having to go and pay, you can come here, we'll teach you how to use the
Mhm.
software, and then you can begin to do your own design work. And we've had people actually come up with items that they've patented
That's fabulous.
and sold, and how amazing is
And
that?
they couldn't do it, you know, they would,
And-
this is a great place to do that too, because it's like we said, it's information, right?
Well, it's the 21st century
is.
equivalent of going into the library and researching how to start a business,
Mhm.
right? Only now
And it's
you
not
can.
intimidating, which is
No,
great.
We're all really nice.
Yeah, I know you
You know,
are.
if we could convince people that librarians are nice, I think we have that reputation. But in this one, we also, we have a whole music booth.
I
So
see
people
that.
can create their own digital music and record it. We have, you know, as I said, the 3D printers, which really are helping, and we're constantly adding
Mhm.
things that people want, so that
That's
they
good.
can create,
Yeah.
because we want people to be able to create.
Well, it's interesting because in this, technology has changed everything. The way we communicate has changed
Right.
everything, and the way we get information, data, see movies or whatever, changed everything. And I know you and I have talked a lot about the importance of like net neutrality.
Yes.
And especially, I mean, I know it's important for everyone, every sector, but you at the library, you are so articulate in how important it is for everyone.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, we were actually just having this discussion yesterday in a meeting, and saying, you know, we have evolved since people really got involved with using the internet,
Mhm.
right? I mean, the common people, I mean, we know that it was around for a long time
Right.
before it integrated into all of our lives. And they treat it as a utility. They treat it
Yeah.
like it's water or electricity.
Mhm.
And that argument is, I think, pretty sound in the sense that now you can't do your work. There was just a story on the radio the other day of a woman in West Virginia whose son is unable to do his homework because they don't
Exactly.
have internet access.
Exactly.
And they don't have internet access because it's so expensive to do that last mile in rural areas. And net neutrality is the, you know, sort of the other side of that, or another component
Mhm.
of what it means. the digital divide, the idea of having to pay more to access certain kinds of information is an anathema to, to me as a human being and as a librarian. I want to pay for it. It's like the old days when we would make a phone call.
Oh, I know.
Right? You make a phone call, you can say whatever you want on the phone. The internet should be the same
Sure.
way. And net neutrality is so critical. And I hope that, we can convince and make that case that we need to retain that, because it's critical for learning, it's critical for students, and it's critical for libraries.
Right.
And it's critical for just, me as a consumer, for consumers.
Well, absolutely.
As well.
Because you don't want somebody else deciding how fast you're gonna have your speeds or anything like that. You pay more, you might get more.
Right.
And to me, it's sort of a situation where it definitely does designate the haves and have-nots.
I couldn't agree with you more, and the whole idea of prioritizing
Right.
somebody because they're a big company
Mhm.
or, whatever, is just, it's not what we're about.
No.
It's not, and it's certainly not with the intentions of people like Tim Berners-Lee, who developed the
Sure.
World Wide Web. That's not what it was about. It was about creating something that made life better for all of us.
Exactly. And for business too, because
Absolutely.
the entrepreneurs, I mean, you think about the rural areas that they might have an idea, and you think they can really create something, and if they had net neutrality, they're as important as any big business.
Exactly, and we're a big library system. We cover
Mhm.
pretty much the entire county, and we go down into our delta, our
Sure.
beautiful, wonderful Sacramento Delta, and we have high-speed internet, being planned for implementation in Ileton,
Oh.
in Walnut Grove, in just a
Yeah.
few months, and we have it here in the greater Sacramento
Mhm.
region. Now, 22 of our 28 locations have super high-speed internet speeds, allowing us to do things like, there's a new technology, not new, it's new to me, it's called Twitch, and it's an
Uh-huh.
interactive platform that allows people to engage with one another virtually.
Mhm.
We can do it because we have that high-speed internet at the library.
That's fabulous.
We're teaching kids gaming and coding. We're teaching them not how to game, but how to create,
Yeah.
how to create the games. And we're able to do that because of net neutrality,
Right.
because of our access to high-speed internet. We're building the digital citizens of the 21st century, the digital workers of the
Mhm.
21st century, and libraries are helping with that.
Exactly. Well, this is always something I think about because I think about what the future will bring. I think it's important. We live in an age where things move so fast.
Yes.
So I'd like to ask you where you think you're going to be. I mean, as the library system, and let's say in 5 years, 10 years, and maybe 20 years, because things are really moving so quickly. And I know you're doing things now to plan,
Mhm.
maybe 5 or 10 years. Where do you think it will be? Where the libraries will be? Let's say 25 years from now.
Well, if I say where I think, then that means that I have, sort of fantasy ideas.
That's
Because I
great.
really want the library to be absolutely integrated into people's lives,
Mhm.
both as a place, whether, as a place they can physically visit,
Sure.
but also as an experience,
Yes.
as something that they know they can count on for not just information. I know people think they can Google, but the other piece that libraries do is we have people who can
Mhm.
really help you sort
Sure.
of sift through that. So I really see libraries moving in, I hope there will always be physical books. I
I
want
do
to go on
too.
record.
I love books.
I love physical books, and I hope there will always be physical books, and not just in our archives, not just in the Sacramento room,
Mhm.
but in other realms as well. And so I think that will continue. I know that we will always be, what I want libraries to be is really incubators.
Yes.
I think we
It's a
want to
good
be
way of
the
doing this.
incubator for those new ideas that come along, that we want to try, we want to experiment with, we
Mhm.
want to help people understand and make sense of. And we will continue that role also of, again, I want us to integrate everything from, well, in 2018, we will be voter service centers in 10 of our libraries. We will be
Okay.
ballot drop-off points because,
Yes.
as you know, California passed the Voters' Choice Act.
That's right.
So I want 5 years, 10 years down the road, people see us as their primary civic institution.
Interesting.
That's where they can engage. And whether it's a virtual town hall,
Right.
right? Or whether it's diving deep into a serious topic,
Mm-hmm.
that we really are the people's university. I'm excited when I hear that there's discussion about online community college in California.
Right.
Because we will level that playing field
Sure.
right now, but what if the library becomes one of the sort of the points, the centers, the again, for gathering, because you know what? I once heard the co-developer of the World Wide Web say there is no such thing as a virtual beer, because
Yeah.
we need to be together. We need to interact with other human beings. We see what happens when we don't.
Don't, exactly.
We see what happens with people who live in an all online world.
Exactly, the isolation.
And they're isolated and they're
Mhm.
angry, and they think they can say anything, and you meet that same person who says awful things online, and they're the nicest person in the world, right? So I really do see us as that pivot point where you can come in and you are a veteran and you have no clue where to go.
Sure.
We're going to help you with that. You want to become a citizen. We're going to help you with that. And I wish I was more of a visionary, but I see that role strengthening. We do it now, but I see it strengthening, and I think where I want us to be 10 years or 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road is that finally we are acknowledged for doing that. And we're supported in the ways that we need to be to enable us to do that work. And that means training librarians to be able to have that broader skill set. I think we will see a real change in how education happens, and we're seeing it now.
Sure.
And I think the library's role will be even stronger with that.
That's
It's the whole
exciting.
person. Yeah,
That's
thank you.
exciting, Rivkah.
I think so.
Oh, it's wonderful. I could, we can talk forever on
Mhm.
this, and maybe we'll have to bring you back for another episode. But thank you so much. I've always been a fan of the library. Growing up in a small town, the library was really very important to me. And I just really felt that information I couldn't get in school, I can go to the library. And the library was always a place for exploration, too.
Mhm.
Kind of asking those questions, and the librarian never said, you shouldn't think about that. I mean, they were really there to nurture your ideas, and that's what I really think so important about the library and what it's going to be doing in the future, too.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Rivkah. Rivkah Sass is unbelievably one of the brightest and most, she's the nicest person, the kindest person. She's also very sassy, too. Thank you.